Hi everyone, and today we're going to look at storage devices and media. And this is a really sensitive topic because most of the time you get questions coming in, especially when you're talking about advantages and disadvantages of using this over the other. And in these storage devices, we're going to be looking at the magnetic, which is, we'll talk about the magnetic, we're talking about the hard disk drive. Then we're also going to talk about the magnetic tape drive as well, and we'll talk about the optical. We're talking about our CDs, our DVDs, and our Blu-ray, which is read and write devices as well. And we'll talk about solid state, which is our SSDs, our pen drives, and our flash drives. And those are the devices. We'll talk about the medias. We're talking about the magnetic tapes. We're talking about the disc itself, which is your CDs, your DVDs, and then we're talking about your our solid state memory cards as well. Okay, so let's have fun with this. Now we'll talk about the secondary storage. We're invariably talking about that this includes non-volatile devices. What are non-volatile devices? This means that any information that is stored on them are not being lost. Okay, they are permanent memories. Okay, they are not part of the primary memory, not at all, right? So they are stored as long as the user requires it to be. Okay, and they are much larger than your RAM. They are much larger than your ROM, which are your internal memories. Okay, so we're going to look at all these devices as well. So we're going to start with the first one, right, which is us knowing our magnetic medias and our magnetic storage devices. So let's start with the magnetic tape drive. Now, the magnetic tape, right, which is what they use for cinemas, right, is a very thin stripe of plastic which is coated in a magnetic layer or iron oxide, right? They can be read from or written to by a read or write head in a magnetic tape storage device. Okay, now the data stored are stored as a magnetized area, which represents as a 1, or demagnetized, which is represented as a 0. Okay, data is read from the tape using what we call a serial access, and in other words, they can only be read in the same order that is reading. So you can't skip it. The serial is stored in the order of what as they appear. Okay, now this type of storage is useless in real time or online application due to the very slow data access speed. It's best suited to offline or batch processing. However, due to their vast storage capacity, magnetic tape are still in use in large industries or even university computers. Okay, so let's look at the uses of this magnetic tape. What are the uses? Which is one of the things that you should pay attention to. They're used in applications where batch processing is used. For example, clearing checks, utility bills. We're talking about the gas or electric, water, production pay slips. They're used as backup medias where vast amounts of data can be stored. In cinemas, you see them in cinemas. They are used in long-term archiving of data. Okay, where you have your magnetic tape. Okay, because it had that huge data storage capacity and are known to be very stable. Okay, which make them ideal for long-term storage. Okay, let's talk about the advantages of the magnetic tape. Now, we've talked about the fact that they're used in applications for batch processing, backup medias, long-term archiving of data, and then let's talk about the advantages. Now, the advantages is that they are less expensive, right, than the equivalent of the hard disk drive. Another one is a very robust technology that they don't deteriorate over a long time and they remain stable. Okay, those informations, you can keep them there and they're going to stay for a long time. And then again, another key thing about it is that they have a huge data storage capacity. Okay, then we talk about the data transfer rate. Okay, the data transfer rate is actually fast. Okay, don't confuse this with data access time, right, which is slow for magnetic. Because data access is about the time taken to be able to access that data. But in terms of data transfer, it is very, very fast. Okay, disadvantages, obviously, that should let you know that they have a very slow data access time. Because why do they have a slow data access time? They make use of what we call the serial access. Okay, so that serial access simply means that all previous data needs to be read, okay, until the required data is found. Okay, so you can't skip any process. They have to be read from the very first beginning to the end. Okay, another disadvantage is when updating, okay, another tape if needed to store the final updated version. Okay, so we are updating, you need another tape to store the final update, which require the use of what we call the master tape, which is the original tape. So we have a transactional tape which contains all the changes to be made to produce a new master tape. This is clearly a slow way of updating data and can introduce errors, which is why it's magnetic. Okay, and they are affected by magnetic fields. Okay, you can say the word magnetic, and that can, a strong magnet, for example, one found the speaker, can corrupt the data stored on the tape. So for us to be able to save or update data, all data stored in magnetic tape, a new tape produced from A and B, and the new tape could be used in the master slide. Now, just an advice, right? A data transfer rate is the rate at which data can be sent from a storage device to a computer, right? And that's why it's very fast, because the rate at which it sends it from the tape to the projector is very, very fast. But data access time, on the other hand, is the time taken to locate specific data stored on the storage media. Okay, now let's go to something that is common, your hard disk drive. Now, in your hard disk drive is still one of the most common methods used to store data on a computer. Okay, in fact, data stored in a digital format on the magnetic surface of the hard disk. Okay, so this is a good example of what I'm talking about. Now, if you look at your hard disk drive, you see that there's a CD. Now, it is stored on that magnetic surface of the hard disk, or what we call the plaster. Okay, as they're usually called. Okay, now this is what happens. All informations are now being stored here. All your informations, they are now being stored here. Okay, now we have a hard disk drive is very often have more than one platter depending on its capacity. Okay, and a number of read and write heads can be accessed all to the platter surface. So read and write is taken off, okay, in the hard disk. Okay, now another thing is the read and write head can move very, very quickly. Okay, and the read and write head can it typically move from the center of the disk to the edge of the disk and back again. Okay, now watch this. Actuators are used to move the read or write heads. Now, these are an actuator, right? A device that helps. So it sends the signal, okay, read this to this, is going to read it, and take this off, is going to do the reverse. So we call it a voice code, and they are used as actuators, right? And they are very similar to the electromagnetic used in speakers. We have a read and write arm that reads head back and forth, and we have a lot of plasters that are made from glass to read and read heights, the tracks, the sectors in each of them. Now, another thing is the latency. Now, the effect of latency can become very, very significant. What do we mean? It defines the time it takes for a specific block on data tracks to rotate around the read or write heads. Okay, now let's look at the uses of the fixed hard disk drive. You know, we have removable, we can have it removable, we can have it fixed. Let's look at the fixed. Now, invariably for the fixed, they store the operating system, they store system software, they store working data. They can store application softwares on them. They are used in real-time systems. They can use them in robots, in CCTV cameras, etc. They're also used in Also for online system, when you're booking online airline tickets, automatic stock controls. They're also using file servers for computer networks. Now, advantages of the fixed hard disk drive. Okay, they have a very fast data transfer rate. Okay, they also have a fast access time to data. Okay, but they have also another advantage, that they have a very large memory capacity. But then again, the disadvantages of a fixed hard disk drive is they can be fairly easily damaged. For example, if the current shutdown procedure on the computer has not been correctly carried out, it's possible to sustain a head crash. And they have many moving parts which can affect their overall reliability. Okay, talking about the moving parts in the hard disk drive that can actually affect it. Now, their read and write operations can be quite noisy when compared to solid state drive. Especially if you're copying, you're moving, you're trying to find it, you discover that noise in your system. That's because it's as much as possible the system is trying to locate it. So it's spinning and spinning, just like the same way your normal disk is going to spin when you're fast forwarding or you're rewinding. You're forwarding or rewinding, the same thing happens. Then let's look at the portable hard disk drive. Now, the portable are the ones that are removable. It simply means that you can remove them, right? It simply means that they act as an external hard drive. Okay, so let's talk about those portable ones. Okay, now, like I said, they're external to the computer. They can be connected to the computer using what we call a USB port. Okay, we see them as backup storage. So we transfer files between the computers to them. Okay, and then let's look at the uses of the portable hard disk drive. They can be used as a backup system to prevent loss of data. They can be used to transfer not just data or files or even software between computers. However, let's talk about the advantages. Now we know the uses. Let's talk about the advantage, which is a key thing in storage. You need to know the uses. In fact, your focus should be on the uses, the advantages, and then disadvantages. Now, for the advantages, the access time and data transfer rate is very, very fast. They have large memory capacity. They can be used as a method of transferring information between computers. Then another one is the disadvantages. As with fixed disk drive, they can be easily damaged if the user accidentally drops it or does not correctly shut down the drive after use. That's another thing you have to watch out for when you're talking about the portable hard disk drive or your external drive. Another one is the data transfer rate is not as fast as for the fixed drive because it takes time to load. It takes time to be able to not just load, it takes time to be able to transfer the contents of your file from your computer into the external hard drive. So you need to take note of that as well. Then let's talk about the optical media and the optical storage devices. Okay, now for the optical media and the optical storage devices, we look at CDs and DVDs. Okay, we look at CDs, look at DVDs. Now, CD simply means compact discs, right? And now they are described as optical medias. That simply means that they can be read from or written to by the optical storage devices. You need to know that. Now, optical storage devices can be built into a computer or can be connected externally via a USB cable. Now, that device is where we can put that media into it. Now, they rely on the optical properties of laser light, which is then used to read data to write data on the surface of the disc. Okay, now for CDs and DVDs, they can be designated as ROM. That ROM simply means write once only. You're writing once. Then the ROW simply means can be written to or read from many times. And when it's ROM, simply means it is only read only. You can only read the information, so you cannot write from it. You cannot edit it. That's what it means. Now, another thing we need to talk about is the uses of them, right? You can skip all those things, not needed. Let's talk about the uses. Use of the CDR and DVD-R. For CDs and DVD-Rs, which is read only once, home recording of music and films. You can use it to record your music and films. You can use to store data to be kept for later use or to be transferred to other computers. Now, it's a cheaper medium than the ROW disks. Also, once bond, they behave like ROM. So you need to take note of that, which is a good advantage. So when you bond in it, when you bond on it, when we talk about bond, I want to explain that. When we talk about bond, this simply means that you are copying your files and you are making it to be read-only. What do I mean by this? This simply means that when you bond, let's say you're bonding a movie, right? You're bonding a movie into your CD or DVD. Now, the moment you bond the informations into that CD, the moment you play it, they behave like ROM. It simply means it's going to play and the files will not show. Right? It's going to play as the media. So invariably, this is what people use when they are when you go to film shops and you want to buy a movie, and the moment you put it on your DVD, your DVDs is going to play, because that simply means that when it was empty or like a plain CD, those informations are now being transferred, and watch this, they are transferred to be what? Read only. It simply means that you cannot make any modifications to it. I hope that's clear. Now, another one is can be recorded once. If error occurs, then the disc has to be what? Thrown away. Not all CDs or DVD player can read CD-RO and DVD-RO, which is actually a downside. Okay, let's talk about the uses of the ROW, which is write, read and write. Many times they are used to record television programs, which can be recorded over time and time again. They are using CCTV cameras. Of course, you know CCTV cameras, they can read and overwrite. They can be used as backup device for files and also for data. Now, the ROW, now if you go to the market to buy it, we have the one for RO, we have the one for ROW. So you need to know which one you are actually purchasing for. Okay, now let's talk about the advantages. It can be written over many times, which is a very good advantage. Can use different file formats each time it is used. It's not wasteful, right? It simply means that whatever information you add, you can still add more later, unlike the CD or DVD-RO. Okay. Let's talk about disadvantage. It's expensive compared to the one that has the CD-RO. Okay, it is possible to accidentally overwrite data. Yeah, we have to look at that as a disadvantage. I know you'll be saying, but you have to be you can be careful. But sometimes we do it, right? We overwrite data without even knowing, and we have to factor that in as a disadvantage. Okay, all right. Let's talk about the ROM. Right, the CD-ROM and DVD-ROM. Now, this simply means that they are read-only memory, which means they cannot be written over but can only be read. They are a permanent method of data storage, right? They are used to store music files, store software, store games, reference softwares, right? They have a much larger storage, and you can use it to store films. But now it's increasing use to store computer data and even more games, right? And that's why if you go to your game stores, in the CD you see, those CDs are called CD-ROMs or DVD-ROMs because they're used to store only that game. And that's why when you put it on your PlayStations, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, the more you put that CD in, it's going to play. Okay, because those informations have been sent, they are just read only. You cannot alter the content of those informations. Now let's talk about the advantages real quick. Since we have looked about the uses where they are using applications, that is it prevents deletion or variety of important data. Now advantage is less expensive. Now it is less expensive than your hard disk drive system. Now usually you might be asked to talk about the advantages and disadvantages in your IGCSE advantages and disadvantages of using the CD-ROM or DVD-ROM over your hard disk. questions like that can come out. Now, when questions like that come out, how do you answer it? You need to know what they are. And for now, when you know what they are, then it gives you an idea to be able to find answers to such questions. Okay, now the next one is disadvantages. Now, the data transfer rate is much slower for hard disks. Okay, they're much slower for hard disks. Okay, now so that on that advantages, right? It's much slower than for hard disk, so it's slower. It's a slow process, right? Because for you to actually transfer or to access, it takes quite a time. Okay, now let's talk about the Blu-ray. Now, the Blu-ray is another example of optical storage media, right? They are fundamentally different to DVDs in their constructions. What do I mean? Now, for Blu-ray, right? Let's just quickly go to the uses and then we'll see what they do. Now, let's look at let's talk about the comparison between DVDs and Blu-rays. Now, a single standard layer DVD has a storage capacity of, let's say, 4.7 gig, enough to store a 2 hours standard definition films. But for Blu-rays, they have more storage definition because they're used to store high definitions. Now, I'm going to talk about the difference between SD and HD. Now, if you're watching a movie, right, we have movies in different definitions. We have movies, if you're streaming, probably if you're streaming or watching a movie, you've probably noticed this, right? Especially when you are streaming, you see that in streaming we have SD and we have HD. SD talks about standard definition. It brings the movie to a standard layer, a standard level that irrespective of your network, you should be able to, at the very least, watch it comfortably. But for high definitions, these are it takes a lot of storage devices, right? And to store a high definition, you need to have at least a storage capacity of like at least 27 gig. Okay, that's for a single layer. Now, for a dual layer, right, it has up to what, 50 gig, which is what enough to store 4.5 hours of high definition movies, or even 20 hours of standard definition movies. Okay, now for Blu-rays, they have greater interactivity than the DVD devices. Now let's look at it. Now for the Blu-rays, it is possible to record high definition television programs. That's one. Two, you can skip quickly to any part of the disc. Okay, the third one is you can create playlists of recorded movies and television programs. Now, you can edit and reorder the program on the disc because it has a lot of it, right? You can search for an empty space on the disc to avoid over recording, right? You can access websites, download subtitles, and other interactive features. Now, let's talk about Blue for DVD is red. Okay, uses. We use it for home video consoles, storing and playing back movies. You can use this to store, can use as a backup hard drive. They are used as camcorders. Camcorder, they use this media to store movies. Okay. Advantages of the Blu-ray. Okay, let's talk about the advantage of the Blu-ray. Let's talk about for the advantages, we have a very large storage capacity, right? Very large storage capacity talks about it is ideal for storing high definition movies. It has a very fast data transfer rate. Okay, so you have to look at that. The data access speed is also greater than with other optical medias, and it also comes with a secure encryption system which helps to provide piracy and copyright infringement. Then disadvantages is, what comes to mind is it's very expensive, and very expensive this compared to other ones. Encryption problem, right? Which is used to stop piracy, of course, when you store videos. So obviously, if is that encryption problem could be disadvantages, obviously you have to decrypt it to be able to do that. And of course, introduction of the HDs, right? DVD players has reduced the advantages of using Blu-ray what technology. So you have to also look at it. But one good disadvantage is that it's a relatively expensive text. So what have we looked at in this course? We've looked at we started with the hard disk, right, which is more importantly, we started with the magnetic tape drive. We looked at the uses where they are being used at, using application for batch processing, backup media, long-term archiving. We talked about the advantages and disadvantages. Went forth talk about the hard disk drive as much as possible. Talked about the actuator which is used to read and write here. Then we also talked about the portable hard drive, which is like your external hard drive. We talked about the optical media. We talked about the CDs. We talked about the CD R, which is CD read, and which means you are writing only once, and that we use it for burning. We talked about the CD or DVD ROW, which can be written to or read for many times. Then we also looked at the Blu-ray as much as possible, and we can see that the Blu-ray has a very high technology. More importantly, we're able to compare with the DVDs to see which one stores for standard and of course for high definitions as much as possible. We also looked at the uses which are used for camcorders, home video consoles, okay, playing back movies. We looked at the advantages and disadvantages. We said it has a very large storage capacity, and then for its advantages, it's a relatively expensive disk. Okay, we're going to stop here. The part one. The part two, we're going to look at the SSD. Okay, so bye. Hello students, so we're going to talk about the chapter 3. We started talking about the storage devices and the media, and it's very important for us to know which is the media and of course the device. Now both of them are all hardwares, but I'm just going to show you a bit of a difference so that will just guide you whenever you see questions relating to that. We will talk about the storage media and then the storage device. The storage media, on the other hand, is a hardware on which data is actually stored. A good example is your CD, right? Your compact disc. So it simply means that whatever you're storing on that CD is a storage device. It's a storage media rather, right? It's a storage media because you're storing on it. Or your DVD, right? That simply means that whatever information you're storing on it is known as a storage media. Okay, that is why it's an hardware in which the data is actually stored. Now, when we talk about the storage device, this is the hardware that is used to read from or write to the media. So you're either reading from it or you're writing to that media. A good example is your CD or your DVD reader or writer. Okay, so I needed you guys to know the difference between that two. So let's go to what we have today. Okay, so let's look at this SSD, which is our solid state media. We'll look at the media. We now know what the media is. We now know what the device are. Okay, so we have floating gates, we have control gate transistors. The floating gate, on the other hand, and control gates are used. They use the CMOS, which is your complementary metal oxide semiconductors. They are more like the NAND technologies, right? They make use of flash memories, which makes use of a grid at each intersections where there's a floating gate and a controlled gate arranged as follows. So we have this right here. So you see them, they kind of like your RAM, but different, right? Because of the flash memory. So they have the control gate, they have the floating gate, they have the electron source, and then we have the tungsten oxide coating as well. That looks like chemistry, but we're talking about computer here. But still, that is just the makeup for the SSD. Okay. But let's just dive down to it, right? For exam's sake, let's dive down to it. Let's talk about the uses of the SSD, right? Now, this is what is now in vogue, because back then laptops were made use of HDD, but now we're now seeing modern systems coming with this storage media, this storage device, as the case may be. And this is also a main type of backup storage. Okay, now as the name suggests, they use this in the same way as the HDD. Okay, you can use it to store your files, you can use it to store your application, you can use it to store your operating system, and so on. Okay, now because of this, they enable laptops to become thinner, much lighter, and that has given the rise to development of smartphones, tablets. Without the solid state technology, this device simply would not exist. Okay, so let's talk about the advantages of the SSD. Okay, now when we are developing a new computer or electronic device such as a phone or a tablet, okay, there are benefits of using SSD rather than HDD. So let's talk about them. Number one is they are more reliable. Okay, no moving parts to go wrong. Okay, they are considerably lighter, right, which makes it very, very suitable for a notebook laptop. Okay, they don't have to get up to speed before they work properly, and they have a lower power consumption. They run much cooler than HDD. Okay, because no moving part, they're very thin. Okay, and the access time is only 0.1 milliseconds compared to the 10 milliseconds for HDD. Okay, then another one is data transfer speed for SSD is also much faster. Okay, it's also much faster than the HDD. That's another good thing about it. That's another good thing. In terms of the access time, it takes only 0.1 milliseconds compared to the 10 milliseconds, and data transfer speed is also much faster to that. So I think it's a good thing to actually know. Now, disadvantages of the SSD on the other hand is the longevity, right? Although you're working on it and it's not becoming an issue, but most solid states are considerably rated at only 20 gig write operations per day over a 3-year period. This is known as the SSD endurance. Okay, now for this reason, the SSD technology is still not used in all servers. Okay, some servers are still very careful with this, but in terms of our laptop operation, this is very, very good to go. Okay. Now the pen drive. Okay, pen drives are more portable devices that make use of your solid state technology. They are like a flash drive. Okay, they're like a flash drive. So they are small portable devices. They can connect to the computers. And how can they connect? They can connect to a USB port. Okay, the main advantage is that they are very small. They are lightweight portable devices, which make them very suitable as a method of transferring files between computers. Now, your pen drives are used are more like your backup devices for music or photo files. Okay, a pen drive is a good example. We have examples of USB flash drive, which draw their powers from the computer via the USB connection. So that's where they get the power from. Okay, some device combine the functionality of a portable media player with the USB flash storage. Okay, so they combine it. Okay, which require a battery to play music on the go. Okay, now the term memory drive also referred to as a memory stick, and a flash drive is often in correctly used to mean the same thing. Okay, so yeah, I know the first thing that people comes to mind when they see it, they say is a flash drive, but usually we call it a pen drive or a memory stick. Essentially, any device that uses solid state technology can be referred to as a flash drive. A pen drive is a flash drive with a USB connector. In other words, a pen drive is a type of a flash drive with a particular purpose. Okay, now we can see that flash drives can be used inside many devices to carry out a number of different tasks. So usually we have a pen drive, right? And we have now come to understand that a flash drive simply means that we can have a pen drive with a connector. So it's a type. So a pen drive is a type of a flash drive because of the flash memory. Okay, because of the flash memory. Now these devices may be acting as the controller for a microwave oven. Okay, so these devices may be acting as a controller for a microwave oven, and there's so many. Let's talk about the uses. Let's talk about the uses of them. Okay, let's look at the uses of those memory sticks on your pen drive, right? Now, uses of them is transporting files between computers or using it as a backup store, right? What do you use as a backup storage? We use it as a backup storage to save our files for a long time, right? It's used as a security device to prevent software piracy, and we see this as a dongle. Okay, now you see the whole essence of this when we are talking about audiences, and this is in chapter 9 of the textbook. Now let's talk about the advantages of memory sticks. It's very compatible. It's very compatible, and it's a portable media, so you can move it around. Right? It's a very robust technology, so it's not something that gets damaged easily. It does not need additional software to work on most computers. It's just a straight up. Just plug it in, and it's the battery from the system is going to power it, and it's going to work. They are not affected. That's another good thing about the flash memories. They are not affected by magnetic field. They are not affected at all. Okay, let's talk about the disadvantages. Now, disadvantage on the other hand is cannot write, protect the data by making it read only. Okay, it cannot write, protect the data by making it read only. It cannot. It's easy to lose due to a small physical size. Easy to lose, right? Because how portable it is. It's very small. It's easy to lose. The user needs to be very careful when removing the memory stick from a computer. An incorrect removal, because while it is still doing a read and write operation, will corrupt the data on the memory stick and make it useless. This means that when you're copying, you have to ensure that you copy it correctly, and you copy it, and then all you have to do is click here and right click on it, click here, and then you're going to see it here. Right now, this is an SD card, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Right, and then you can just click on eject on it. Okay, please don't just plug it and it says don't just plug it and just take it off. Okay, ensure you're doing it rightly, because it can actually corrupt. Okay, now talking about what I just said, let's talk about memory cards. Now, a memory card makes use of also a solid state technology. Now, it is inserted into a device which can be read, which can read the card or allow them to read into the card. I'm just going to show you real quick. Let me show you a good example of this. Let me inject this. Okay, it's injected. So I'm just going to right here on my laptop, so you could probably see this. Now, this is a good example of a memory card. So I have this as this is 64 gig SD card, 64 gig right here. Now they are inserted into a device. Okay, now most time they're inserted into a device, but newer systems you just have to plug this small piece right here into your laptop. Now they can read the card, right? You to read the card, and you can allow data to be written to that card. Now the card comes in various memory cards. Now we have many available memory card formats. For example, we have the SD card. The SD card simply means a secure digital card. Okay, yeah, a secure digital card. Then we have the XD card. The XD card simply means extreme digital card. And then we have the CFAS card, the CFAS card, which means compact fast card. Okay, now the XD card is a type of removable card designed for use. Let me plug this right here, so I don't get stories that touches. Okay, just make sure I'm plugging it right. Yes, beautiful. And if you check here, you see that it's been plugged. Right? Click on it and you see it's right here. Right? Now, it is used in digital cameras, the XD card, right? And the card readers can be often attached to a computer to allow cards to be read directly. Now, let me show you how the XD card is. The SD card, this is how it looks like. So it's just easier to just plug it in, right? To your memory card. But I'm not sure if my laptop supports that one. There are some laptops though that do support it. My laptop doesn't support it. So obviously most notebooks don't actually support the SD card. But yes, there are some laptops that actually support it. So okay, you just need to know that. Okay. Now the SD card, but definitely desktops, modern desktop, yes. The SD card on the other hand is a very small card, like I showed you, with a very high capacity memory. Now they are used in portable devices such as digital video recorders, digital cameras, audio players, smartphones, tablets. Okay, for Android devices they have them. Sadly, it's not on the iPhone. Okay, there's no smart card, there's no secure digital card on your iPhone. But for Android devices, you can have a backup storage to attach to it. Okay, we have the CFAS card, right? And it is a memory card format which was developed to allow, watch this, the solid state technology to be used in a very small portable device. Okay, they are probably used as removable memory for high digital photos and videos. That's what the CFAS card is. You still wonder what it is? I'm just going to show you what it is right about now. This is how the CFAS card is. Can you see that? So it's just like your other XD card, but this is for high end. It has large memories, and we have CFAS 2.0s, and this is for 1 terabyte as well. Okay, so it's used in a very small portable device. It has no moving mechanical part, does not need a battery to retain data. They are primarily used as removable memory for high-end digital photos and video cameras. Now, uses of memory cards. What are uses of memory cards in general? For storing photos on digital cameras, they're used as mobile phone memory cards. Like I said, the Android devices, for Windows mobile operating system. I'm not really sure. Nokia, I think Nokia has it. Using MP3 player to store music files. They are used as backup in handheld computer devices. Okay, like your palm tops. Okay, even your notebooks. Okay. Advantages on the other hand is very compatible. It can be easily removed and used in another device or for transferring photos directly to your computer or printer. Now, because they are solid state memories, they are very durable. They can last long, and they can hold large amount of data. Okay. Now, digital data such as the compact cameras and smartphones are easy to read and write toward memory cards, allowing the user to transport large collections of photos, music, or information in them, which is actually a good advantage because you can be able to transport large amount of them. Disadvantage is that they are expensive per gigabyte. So obviously, we have 16 gigabytes, we have 32 gigabytes, we have 64 gigabytes, we have 128 gigabytes, we have 256 gigabytes, we have 512 gigabytes, and we have 1 terabyte. Okay, so it comes in size. So the higher the memory, the more expensive it is. Now, although Disadvantage is that it has a lower storage capacity compared to the hard disk. Although as of this time, yes, it does. Okay, but now we are even having more than one star, even 1 terabyte. Okay, so arguably, I don't think it's a disadvantage, so we can just keep it off. Okay, it has a finite life regarding the amount of time it can be read or written to. Yes, it has that. Okay, now the memory cards, especially the micro SD, okay, are the smallest storage devices available. This means they are most likely to be lost, and that's why I had to just put it back, because it can be lost, it can be stolen, it can be damaged. If it falls on the floor, you might not even see it, because it's a micro. Right, the one I have is a micro SD card. Okay, not all computers come with that. Is a good disadvantage. Mine only comes with the micro SD card. It doesn't come with the SD card. Right, the X for xylophones. It doesn't even come with the CFAS. Okay, so not all computers come with a memory card reader built in. Users will often be required to purchase what we call a card reader or USB converter to view data on the memory card. So obviously, to actually read data on such memory card, you need to get what we will call a card reader or a USB converter. So a USB converter plugged in with the card reader to be able to read the content of it. Now, the future of storage devices. Now, CDs and DVDs are showing signs of becoming obsolete. Now, in fact, many computers now only come with USB connectors and no internal DVD or CD drives. The main method of transferring files between devices have become the flash memories. Many people now store all their music in the following way. You either store it in your computer, in your mobile phones, or even on a portable called your iPod. Okay? Now, another thing is they even use the cloud computing, the cloud storage to store all their files so that they can access their music from anywhere in the world. Not only that, the future of storage devices, you can actually stream. You can stream your music on the internet. You can stream your movies on the internet. We have your Netflix, we have a lot of them you can actually stream from, provided the user has what we call an internet connection. So they can access music. You can access the music to the laptop, to your smartphone, to your tablet, or any of the receiving devices. So the CDs and DVDs are nobody talks about. It's becoming obsolete because we're not having lot of ways that we can now store it in computers, in your smartphones, in your tablets, in the cloud, even by streaming. You don't even have to store it. You can just stream that music that you desperately want to listen to. You don't have to download it or anything. Okay, so this is actually the future of it. Okay, now it's the same story for movies, where streaming is becoming increasingly more common. In fact, many televisions are now set up as what? Smart televisions. This means it's now possible to stream movies or TV programs on demand without the need of a DVD or even a Blu-ray player. In effect, the television set has become the central computer with a link to the internet using what we call a wireless connection. So this is what we'll call it a wrap. So thank you very much. If you have any question, you can just put it in the chat and I'll be able to attend to the questions that you have. See you next time. Bye-bye.